everyone, welcome to Q&A. So today, Love Scrint, a good name, writes, what's the worst thing to avoid when you are interviewing? Okay, excellent question, Love Scrint. I was thinking about how to answer this, and this is what I would say. The worst thing to avoid when you're doing a job interview is to be anything less than 100% positive all the time. Okay? If you show anger, frustration, annoyance, anything like that, anything negative, either explicitly or implicitly through body language or anything like that, that's the kiss of death, okay? In the vast majority of situations. Now, remember, job interview is a very artificial situation, and sometimes those feelings can be justified, okay? They can be reasonable under the circumstances. However, you got to understand that showing any of that is really bad. It signals that there's a problem. It signals that, you're maybe not a good fit, or you're not a team player, or you have anger issues, or you have poor interpersonal skills. It signals a bunch of bad things, so don't do it. Now, I think that most normal people who don't obsess about job interviews all the time, okay, and are not focused on it and are not familiar with it, they see things a little bit differently than recruiters, hiring managers, and people like me who do employment and career coaching. A lot of the questions that are asked during job interviews actually can be quite offensive, okay? Think about it for a second. When you sit down for a job interview, usually the question they lead with is, tell me about yourself. Now, if you're not expecting this, it can be quite confusing because you've sent in a resume. They've obviously read your resume. They've read your application. They've called you in. You come here, and then what's the first thing they ask? They ask you to give a general introduction to yourself like they're not already familiar with you. Okay, now, it may be reasonable that a person might be a little offended with this. It seems like they haven't got their act together, right? Let's be honest about it. Other questions, like my personal favorite is, so what does success look like to you? Well, I think a lot of people would just want to say, success to me is you hiring me for this job, and if you don't know that, then I don't think this is going to go very well. Okay? I mean, if you're not expecting these questions, they can come across weird, strange, offensive. So it may be reasonable that under the circumstances, you might be a little frustrated. Okay? You might be a little offended. Sometimes that's caused by people, interviewers and hiring managers and recruiters just not being very good at their job. But sometimes it can be calculated. So regardless of the situation, do not show anything but 100% positivity, okay, all the time. It's as simple as that. Now, between you and me, I totally understand where you're coming from. There's a lot of people out there that are interviewing people for jobs that have no business deciding, who should be employed in an organization because they are bad at it. They are very bad at it. And it's unfortunate, but they are the gatekeepers that one must go through if you're going through standard channels to find employment. But yes, it can be very frustrating. So that's the number one thing I would say to avoid in a job interview. Never, ever be less than 100% positive, okay? If you show any signs of anything negative, it's bad. And it's usually an automatic elimination right there. Okay, so now the last thing I'd like to say is that going beyond level 1 here, okay, this trait is actually a very good trait. Having interpersonal skills and having good interpersonal skills, one of the things within that is the ability to restrain yourself, to bite your lip, bite your tongue, and not show frustration when you are frustrated, okay? Anybody who works in sales or public relations can tell you this. This is a really important skill. You can't go getting offended at the slightest, comment or anything like that. it's not a good trait, okay? So think of this as an opportunity perhaps to work on that skill, okay? And if you show up for a job interview expecting that they may say or do things that could be a little annoying or offensive, if you know that they're coming, that helps also, okay? Sometimes it's not the things that the interviewer says to you, it's just the virtue of the situation. For example, I've done some videos on this channel where I talk about some of the worst job interviews I've done, and you get cases where you're told to show up at a certain time and then they make you wait for an hour, right? Well, most normal people would be a little frustrated by that. It seems like you're not really respecting my time, okay? So it doesn't have to be the person, it could be the situation. But regardless, always be positive, and great things can then happen after that. So thank you for your attention. I hope this was helpful. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next video. And always remember, you're awesome. Take care.